Inhale deeply for Om. Yajamahe Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivaranam Sugandim Pushtivaranam Ovarukamiva Bandhanat Ovarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityo Mukhyamamritat Mrityo Mukhyamamritat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivaranam Sugandim Pushtivaranam Ovarukamiva Bandhanan Ovarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityo Mukhyamamritat Mrityo Mukhyamamritat. Together. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivaranam Ovarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityo Mukhyamamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivaranam Ovarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityo Mukhyamamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivaranam Ovarukamiva Bandhanat Mrityo Mukhyamamritat. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere, may all beings everywhere be happy and free, be happy and free. May I offer my life, may I offer my life, all beings everywhere, all beings everywhere. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. Om Namah Shivaya. Bring your hands into Anjali Mudra. Offer your practice today to someone who showed you kindness. Bring them into your mind's eye and visualize them. Dedicate your practice to them. Namaste. Welcome everyone. So today's class is going to have a slightly different beginning. We're going to do a few more workshop-y things on standing postures, beginning of the standing sequence that we're doing. Is anybody, how are you getting on with the sequence? Everybody enjoying learning the sequence or memorize the yeah? Beginning to memorize the sequence? Yes, good. Okay, do you need me to say anything today? I'll show you to just well go for it. Yeah, you're laughing. I don't know what this is. So today we're gonna look at standing sequence. And a little more detail. So if you just stand up. Stagger yourselves a little bit on your mats and turn face in if you're right close to the wall if you need to. Stand in Tadasana. Just start by, and you can have the feet parallel, big toes touching or slightly apart. Spread your toes out, feel some space between your toes. Lift your chest, roll your shoulders back and down, your head slightly back and bring your chin slightly down, gaze into your heart. And then just start by moving the weight forward. Move the weight back into the heels. And then to the right. And to the left. And then find the center where you feel really balanced with equal weight in each foot. Nudge your pelvis very slightly forward. Lift your chest up a bit more. Bring your chin slightly down. Look into your heart. Begin your Ujjayi breathing. Inhale, raise your arms over your head. Flip your palms. Lift up out of your hips and pause. Chin down. And then begin the exhale. Lower the arms on your breath. Inhale, raise. Looking down into your heart. And begin the exhale, lower. Inhale. Exhale, thumbs to back of neck. Empty the lungs completely. Hold the breath out, Baya Kumbhaka. You have the lightness in the pelvic floor and the lower abdomen. Chin down. Lift up. Feel that you're lifting out of your hip sockets a little bit. And then exhale, lower down. And then Parsvabhangi, inhale, raise. Change the interlock of your fingers maybe. And then exhale to the right. And lift the chin, look straight ahead. Inhale, come to center. Chin down, lift. And exhale, change. Look straight ahead at the horizon line as if you're watching the setting sun. Inhale, center. Exhale, lower the arms to the sides. Okay, so Parsvabhangi means, Parsva means side stretch. So one of the things we're doing in the side stretch is we're trying to open the side of the body, but really trying to open the lung on the top side. So when you stretch the intercostal muscles and you stretch the side of the body, you also stretch the lung tissue. And all of these kind of different hasta vinyasas that we do, the different hand movements, and with the feet together, they're all variations of Tadasana, mountain pose. They're all designed to help improve the respiratory volume and the health of the lungs, and they're considered to be preparation for pranayama. So when you do the side stretch, you can bring your arms over your head, and as you start to lean to the side, it's really important to press down through the opposite foot. So if I'm leaning in this direction, you want to press down very firmly into the foot on the opposite side. One of the tendencies is, as you go over to the side, that you kind of let the leg on the side which you're stretching kind of go, just relax, And so it's not really grounding firmly. If you ground it firmly, it opens up the chain of muscles down the whole side of the body, and it feels different. And that's what you want to be looking for. And then the other thing is, when you do the Parsvabhangi, you don't keep upright and lean to the side. You push the hips out as you go down. So the hips should move away from the direction in which you're folding. Does that make sense? So the more you move the hip out, the more it stretches. So the idea is that you're stretching, ideally by grounding the foot all the way through the outside of the leg and up through the torso and up through the shoulder and the arm. But the thing that tends to happen when you twist, when you go to the side and you push your hip out, as the hip goes out, the top shoulder tends to want to come down, and you end up in this sort of shape. So the idea is that as you start to go down, you don't compromise the shoulders. So you ground the outside foot, push the hips out to the side, and as you lift the chin, it helps you to keep alignment in the shoulders. So the shoulders should stay really stacked one on top of the other. Okay, so there's 3 things to really think about. And then the final thing to think about is when you take the posture and you're holding the pose, push down from the outside of the foot, chin is at the horizon line, hips go to the side, top shoulder back. And then what tends to happen as the top shoulder goes back is it makes the bottom arm go soft. So then you push out through the bottom arm. And it's that extension through the bottom arm which will really lengthen you on the outside of the hip. And sort of like you'll feel it much more in this part of the torso here and the lower in the hip and just above the hip and through the side. So all those things combined should really open up the whole side of your body. So try it. Inhale, arms over the head, flip your palms. And so you're going to lift the gaze now and look straight ahead, and you're going to go to your right. As you do so, push down firmly into the left foot, move the hips out to the side, move the top shoulder back. And then when you're holding the pose with the lungs empty, extend through the bottom arm. Inhale, come to center. Chin down, lift out of the hips as much as you can. Exhale, go to the left, push into the right foot, move the hips to the right, top shoulder back, look straight ahead. Extend the bottom arm, so you extend more on the right side. Inhale, come to center. Don't let the inside of the foot lift. Exhale to the right. Keep the inseams of the feet grounded. Stay there. Short inhale, long exhale. Keep top shoulder back. Move the hips to the left. Hold the breath out, extend the bottom arm. Inhale, come to center, change sides. Go to the left, move the hips to the right, and keep the inside of the right foot grounded. Short inhale, long exhale. Keep top shoulder back. And then when you finish your long exhale, inhale, come to center. And exhale, lower your arms. Okay, any questions? Does it feel different? It's completely different, isn't it? So this is like, yeah, this was so simple, almost like what's the point? But if you really do it with the right attentiveness and the right action in the body, you know, what I call the yantra of the body, so you're moving the energy in the right way. And when you talk about the way you ground something or the way you stretch something or the way you rotate something, that geometry is about, it is muscular. You are working with the muscular system, but it's really about the way you're making the energy move in the body. And that's what's really important. You can do one Surya Namaskar. Inhale deeply. Exhale, Anjali Mudra. Om Mitre Namaha. Inhale. Om Ravi Namaha. Fold. Om Sri Namaha. Squat. Om Vanavi Namaha. Little inhale. A step back. Om Kagi Namaha. Full prostration. Om Pushni Namaha. Chaturanga. Empty the lungs. Om Hiranyagabe Namaha. Up dog. Om Mariche Namaha. Down dog. Empty the lungs. Om Mariche Namaha. Forward squat. Empty the lungs. Hold the breath out. Om Savitri Namaha. Straighten the legs. Exhale, fold. Empty the lungs. Hold the breath out. Om Maki Namaha. Come up. Chin down, look hard. Anjali Mudra. Empty the lungs completely. Om Bhaskari Namaha. Tadasana. Turn to the right, stand Tadasana. Inhale, raise the arms shoulder level. Palms down. Exhale fully. Hop or step feet apart. Triangle distance. Turn both feet out 30 degrees. Okay, let's start with that. Turn face front. Okay. So, foot position and jumping. So, first thing is, jumping seems to have gone out of fashion, but jumping in and out of the standing sequence postures is kind of like always been there. And things go in and out of fashion in yoga just like they do in everything else. And working in standing postures with the feet at 30 degrees is way out of fashion. Okay. So there's not, I'm not talking about right and wrong ways of doing things. I'm talking about the way it works in different traditions. So when I was first studying in the Shivananda tradition, and especially in India, in the tradition, you know, traditional hatha yoga systems, feet are always like this. But like straddle forward bends, Trikonasana, revolve Trikonasana, and even in sort of like lunges, often the front foot's turned in like that. There's not this kind of like alignment principle. Yeah, just move. If you can't see, you have to come forward. There's not the alignment principle of the front foot turned fully out. So the front foot being turned fully out is a kind of like comes from B.K.S. Iyengar, who many of you will have heard of. So B.K.S. Iyengar was Krishnamacharya's son-in-law, and he lived with Krishnamacharya for a few years, and he studied with Krishnamacharya, but they never really got on. And so Iyengar, when he left, him and Patabi Joys went off and did their own things, but they were students of Krishnamacharya. And as we know, Iyengar invented a lot of sort of different things, added a lot of things to the yoga tradition, which he considered to be important ways to practice. And one of them was changing the alignment principles. And so in what is in most modern yoga now, the alignment for Trikonasana is with the front foot turned fully out and the back foot turned slightly in, which is what most of you will be more familiar with. Correct? And then when you change sides, you flip the feet and you go like that. So in the Iyengar tradition, when you do this, I studied Iyengar for quite a few years. And when you do it in Iyengar tradition, your alignment would be in step with heel. So the middle of the back instep, center of the front heel is the way you sort of like switch when you do Trikonasana in that tradition and also in most modern traditions. But when you do Vinyasa, even if you're doing Vinyasa like in Ashtanga, so like in the, when I say Ashtanga, I don't mean the 8 limbs of yoga Ashtanga, I mean the Ashtanga Yoga of Sri K. Patabi Joyce, who was also a student of Krishnamacharya. And that led to all the vinyasas that we do now, like flow yoga and power yoga and all those kind of different vinyasa yogas and modern Ashtanga yoga. When you do that, the alignment is heel with heel. And you keep a heel-heel alignment so that you can do the vinyasas and connect the postures up without continually having to move the foot from side to side. So it means the vinyasa flows more freely, okay? So they're the different ways of doing it, but in Vinyasa Krama, it's this. If you're doing a hip-facing forward posture like a warrior one or Parsvottanasana over the leg, then you turn the feet and you square the hips, because you can't square the hips with the feet in this position. You can, but it's a strain. So it's not a good idea on the knees. Are you with me so far? Okay, good. So this tradition is like you work with the feet like this. So this is what you do for Trikonasana. And it's also what you do for Parivrtta Trikonasana, where you revolve. And it's also what you do for all the straddle forward bend sequence. And so that is the whole sequence we've got at the beginning of this practice we're doing at the moment. Trikonasana, revolve, Parivrtta Trikonasana, and straddle forward bend. So those sort of three postures all work in this posture. And you can do the whole thing without moving your feet, which is kind of what you're trying to do. But if you feel the need to move your feet a little bit, you can move them for a reason I'll come to in a minute. But you want to start with the feet like this. And then when you do Trikonasana, the most important thing is like how you ground your feet. So if you're doing it like this, you'll have probably in previous classes had the instruction in Trikonasana. I don't know what that. Yeah, the instruction in Trikonasana is like to ground the inseam of the front foot and the outside of the back foot. Yes, some of you have had this instruction, or okay. So when you do Trikonasana like this, if you're going to go over to your left, what you do is you've really got to ground the outside of that foot. This is what's going to make it. This is going to make a big difference to your practice. So you really ground the outside of that foot, but you really ground the inside of the leg you're moving towards. So what happens is, when you do Trikonasana, you transfer the weight over one leg. The weight goes more into one leg, but that's wrong. The weight should be the same in both feet. And to do that, you have to engage the legs in the right way. So if I'm going to go to my left, what I do is I push hard on the inside of that front foot, and it activates the chain of energy up into the Mula Bandha on that side, on the inseam of the leg. And then I push down on the outside of that foot, and it activates the pranic chain up to the center of the pelvis on the outside of the leg. And when those two seams of energy connect in the middle, that's called Mula Bandha. And then you feel supported across your hips. And you feel light. You feel like the energy is lifting. You've made a strong foundation for your posture so you can move. Now, if you don't do, and that also, the other thing that does, it helps the whole leg to engage, and that protects your knees. So if your feet are kind of like inactive when you go into a forward bend, you put more pressure in your knee joint. If your legs are really active, it helps to lift you out of the knee and the hip joint, which is really makes it much freer and nicer. Are you with me so far? Okay, so if I'm going to go over to my right now, I'm really pushing there on the outside, and I'm really lifting strongly here on the inside. That's the first thing to remember. Really fundamental. Okay? And now I need someone to help me. Do you mind doing Trikonasana on there for me? Yeah, that's fine, like that. Yeah, like that, both feet out. So inhale, raise the arms. Okay, and now she's going to go to the right, which means that she's going to push in the outside of that foot and the inside of this foot. So can you see the way she went down? She's really quite flat. Like, you know, that instruction you often get in Trikonasana, stay there and breathe. It's like, imagine you're being pressed between two sheets of glass, or you're like in a sandwich, you know, that instruction? And then inhale, come up. So that is the way that Sophie has been trained to do Trikonasana, probably most of her yogic life. But now she's got to change it now, because that's not what you're trying to do. Okay, so before we do it, we're going to step back and we're going to do a forward bend. So just come into the center of your mat and stand in Tadasana, because this is going to face the front, or you can just do it where you are, everyone. Face the front. Inhale and bring your arms over your head and flip your palms and lift your chest up and bring your chin down. And then as you exhale, just move your hips back. Move your hips back. Move your hips back. No, I didn't say fold forward. Stand up. Bring your arms over your head and flip your palms and bring your chin down. And now just looking into the navel, start to exhale and just move your hips back. Keep moving your hips back until your buttocks touch the wall behind. Keep going. So what happens? Inhale, come up. Yeah, sorry, you can really fold forward. It's all right. So what I want you to think about is this. So when you fold forward, the only thing that makes you fold forward is this movement. If you fold forward and you don't make that movement, two things happen. The first thing that happens is that it's much more stressful on your back. And the second thing that happens is you haven't engaged your Uddiyana Bandha. So Uddiyana Bandha is a fundamental tool for folding forward. And so that as the lower abdomen goes in, you fold over the hips and you support the lower back with the control of the lower abdomen, which becomes natural if you move the hips back. So if you just do this with me, just bring your arms over your head, and you can just keep your head in a neutral position, and then just fold forward without moving your hips back, and feel what's happening in your lower abdomen, in your lower back. And then inhale and come up. And now lift again and lift up fully, but this time bring your chin all the way to your chest and look into your navel, and fold forward by just moving your hips back. So your toes go long, your quadriceps lift, and keep looking into the navel until you get halfway down. And then push into the hands, and by pushing the hips back, lift up. And then exhale, bring your arms down. Can you feel the difference? The difference is huge. And it's a very fundamental and important thing to really understand. So that movement, by moving the hips back, but also really keeping the chin down, looking towards the navel, what it does is it protects your back and it strengthens your core and it keeps you connected to Mula and Uddiyana Bandha, which is really important. Does that make sense? So that's the principle you use moving into all four bends, even seated forward bends. But you also use it in Trikonasana. Do Trikonasana again? And so now this is what the big difference is in Trikonasana with the feet at 30 degrees. So now Sophie's going to move to the right, but be sure she wants to go down flat. Okay, so what she's doing here is she's putting a lot of compression into her right hip joint. And she just folds completely sideways over the hip. Yeah? So what she's going to do now is as she goes down, she's going to move this buttock, this sit bone, back like she does in the forward bend. And then she's going to go down. And inhale, come up. She's still trying to be flat. Yes. So before you go down, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. So just raise your arms, press down firmly there, lift up firmly there. And then before you fall down, push your hips back and out in that direction. Yes, and now go down, but don't go flat, go more forward. It's a forward bend. Can you see how different that is? Now inhale and come up. Hang on a minute, inhale, come up. And now go the other way by doing the same thing. Okay, so just hold that, put your hand somewhere and breathe. And now that's a very different posture to the normal Trikonasana you may be used to. And it might feel quite awkward. So bring this hand down onto your back. But can you, what else, can you just stay there for a minute? Can you breathe? Okay, so because of the way the setup now of the pelvis, it's a much stronger spinal twist in order to get the shoulders one on top of the other. I know I can do this with Sophie, but a lot of you won't be able to do that. So she's now in the forward bend, but she's also in a strong twist. And if you turn the feet out and have the hips flat, you get a different sensation. Bring this hand up a little bit. So if I can just show you, can you just put your hand on the floor? I know you can do that. This one, not that one. So with our hand on the floor, which is a foot, can you see how forward that is? Her body's forward, but also her body has got to very deeply rotate now to stack the shoulders. That's a very strong twist. You with me? Okay, so I would say even for Sophie now, she's just too far. So she needs to come up and she needs to be able to open the shoulders a bit so she can stretch the top arm up. And that is the pose, which is very different to the flat Trikonasana. And so for most of you, inhale, come up, Sophie. And then by pressing into the feet, the way I said, go down over the other side. The hips have to go back. So by bringing the hips back, she's allowing her spine to lengthen. She isn't just going down and putting pressure into her joint. Put your hand on the leg. Okay, so for most of you, when you're in that, you're going to be more in this position. Okay, you won't be able to get the twist. And so what happens is most people end up in that position, chin down a bit, and they get in this sort of position. And then what they do is they crank the top arm up because everybody thinks the top arm's got to be vertical. That's really bad for the shoulder joint. When you're in this position, you've got two options. The first option is the arms, the shoulders and the arms should be in line, like that should be a straight line. So you can have your hand there and you look at your hand. That's fine. I mean, in an ideal world, I'd say Sophie comes up a bit. She's more like that. But if your shoulders are like this, your arms got to be like that, not straight up. Okay. The other option is, which works really well, is to bend the elbow and put the hand on the small of the back. And just work at breathing and twisting so you get your shoulders stacked. When your shoulders are stacked, then the arm just goes up. And there's no pressure in the shoulder joint. And all the time she's pressing down firmly here and really firmly there and keeping supported through the pelvis. Inhale, come up. And exhale, lower your arms. Okay, so now just for demonstration, can you just do one more for me with the feet turned out, like you would in a normal class? Do it, go turn the other way. Turn the left foot out fully, heel with heel alignment, inhale, raise the arms. And then your normal way, exhale and go over the front leg. Yeah, the way you normally practice. Can you see the difference? It's a totally different pose. Yeah, and the thing I would say, like if I was going to adjust Sophie, what I would say is I would just get her even flatter. I'd push her lower hip forward and her upper hip back. And so she's like in one single plane. Stop hitting me with that arm. You know what I mean? So can you see how different that is? Yeah, inhale, come up. So it's like you got to, this is a different thing you're doing here, because I'm noticing a lot of people going into the pose and they're just going sideways. Sideways is not enough. To go down, the hips have to go back. It's a forward bend. It's a twisting forward bend, which is why it's very good for the back. Shall we do it? Thank you, Sophie. Okay, turn to face the wall. Tadasana. Inhale, raise the arms. Look hard, exhale. And even if you don't jump all the way, try and do a little jump. At the end of the exhale, soften your knees, pop your feet apart 30 degrees. Then inhale, and you're going to go over to your right. So you've got to push down into the outside of your left foot and lift the inside of your right foot. Take another inhale. Get those legs strong. And then as you exhale, move the hips back and slightly to the side and then go down. So the bum goes out a little bit. Good. And then just look at the right hand. Doesn't have to be vertical. Inhale, come up. And then do the same thing to the left. Push down the outside of the right foot. Lift the inside of the left foot. Move the hips back a little bit as you go down. Inhale, come up. Exhale, change. Not just back, but they've got to move to the left as well, like you did in the Tadasana. Yes, that's better. Inhale, come up. And then move the hips back and to the right, so you feel your spine lengthen as you go down. And maybe don't go as low, and now stay there. We're going to start on the left, and twist the spine as much as you can comfortably. Look at the top hand, and remember, it doesn't need to be vertical. It can be out at an angle. Don't overcompress the top shoulder joint. You could come a little bit back now, like that. Good, and then inhale, come up. And exhale, lower your arms. Any questions before we do the other side? Inhale, raise the arms. Doing the same thing, move to the right. Don't forget pressure in the feet. Don't forget to move the hips back and to the side. Go down to the right. Good, breathe there. Looking at the top hand, or if it's too much for your neck, look at the side wall. If you want to, if it's pressure in your top shoulder, bring the hand onto the small of the back. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands to the waist. Inhale. Exhale, empty your lungs. Soften your knees. Hop or step feet together. Okay. Does that make sense? It's not easy, is it? It's harder. Sorry? Yeah. Yeah, it's quite powerful because it's like the angle of the legs, what it's doing in your hip sockets, and the way it's affecting your spine. You've got to rotate more in your spine. And when you've got the twist in your spine, then you can start to go down more. What kills it for most people is they go down too far initially. And also this action, like the fact of doing that, what that does is it immediately starts to lengthen your spine. And then if you go down too far, it kind of kills the pose in the beginning. You probably don't go down as far as you think you can, but you work more on the rotation in the spine. Yeah? Because if you get too low, it sort of stops you being able to twist the spine. So better stay up and work on the rotation until you get your shoulders stacked. And then, if you want to, you go down, but you stay in that same plane. So it's a lot to work on, a lot to think about. Yeah. Yeah.
This way, the outside of that one. When you put that into the I think you just doing that.
It's just where you concentrate the pressing down. So if I'm going to go to this side, I'm going to focus more on the inside of that foot, which is going to support that leg more. But I'm going to focus more on the outside of that foot. So the side I'm going away from, I really ground. And the side I'm going towards, I really lift. So it's like it's going up there and up here, up the outside, up the inside. Are you? Yeah, no, you're not. You're trying to keep the four corners of the foot in firm contact with the floor, but it's like where there's a little bit more effort. You're concentrating the effort on the outside and the inside. Yeah. Yeah, you're not moving your hips. The hips move out before you fold. You can't really before you fold, you just move the hips back a little bit and out to the side like you did in the Tadasana sequence. So that, and what that does is stabilize your hips. And also when you do that, move the hips back, that naturally engages the inseam of the leg you're leaning towards. I mean, this is stuff you've got to go home practice. Otherwise we could be here all night. Well, we will be here all night, probably. So does that make sense? You've got to practice it and then you'll feel it for yourself, because now we're going to do Parivrtta Trikonasana, which is even more complicated. Okay, but I want you to understand the standing sequence. So let's do that. So when you do Parivrtta Trikonasana, does anybody else want a demo? Okay. To be like the army, I say. You just volunteered. No, come on, no. That's all right, because Sophie's a teacher, I know that she's comfortable with it, so that's all right. No, okay. Do you want anybody else want to? No, okay, fine. I'm not going to force anyone, but it's like it's a good way to learn. Okay, bring your feet apart. Just start with that. Feet in the same position. Triangle distance apart and turned out 30 degrees. And so now inhale, bring the arms to shoulder level. And exhale, turn to the right. Okay, so she's turning to the right, and can you see that it's kind of like there's already torsion in her hips? And what she's going to do now is just fold halfway down over the right leg. Yeah, so that's like half. And then she inhales and comes up again. You can just lift the chest there. And so she's now, before she goes down again, you've got to do the same thing. You've got to lift really strongly on the inside of this foot and push down really strongly on the outside of that foot. So same principle. And also the same principle with the hips. So she turns fully as much as she can to the right, but before she goes down, she moves the hips back. Okay, moves the hips back as she folds. So the same as you did in the standing forward bend. Yes? And goes halfway. Inhale, come up. So she's not just folding forward, she's folding forward by moving her hips away from the leg. Exhale, go down. Hips back towards me. You see? So as she does that, it really engages the front leg. She's slightly hyperextending the front leg, but I'm going to let her get away with it. And then inhale, come up. Can I do that one more time? Moving the hips back using the legs over the same side. And now you go down there and then you stay. So that's an exhale. Then you inhale. And then as you exhale, twist. Okay, so she just did what the tendency is for everybody to do. So inhale, come up, come all the way up. So the first thing you want to do when you do that twist is not put your hand down. Don't put it on your leg. Don't put it on the floor. Just twist. So come down again. You go that side if you want. Yes, okay. That's exhale. Then it's inhale. And then the twist is an exhale. Don't put your hand down. Just twist with your arms like wings. Twist. Don't put your hand down. Okay, you all right? Okay, so she's twisting, but she's getting all the twists she can get before she puts her hands on her leg. Then she puts her hand on the leg. And then by pushing down the outside of the back foot and lifting the inside of the front foot, she connects in the pelvis and she tries to lengthen her spine. And as she lengthens her spine, the spine will naturally twist. And while she's doing that, she's also hyperextending her back shoulder so that her arm should be there. But the best way to do this posture until the shoulders are stacked is with the hand there. And then you work on the long exhales on the twist. But the twist doesn't work if the feet aren't working. And then to come out, you inhale and come up halfway, arms at shoulder level. Exhale. Now come up. You got cramp. Well, you did all one side. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so can you see? Yeah? No, you look confused. There's a lot going on. So just say thank you so much, Sophie. Thank you so much. So what I'm saying to you is, like, in order to go down, you got to kind of like push up through your feet. And so I'm going to twist. And then before I go down, I'm going to do that. And so by doing that, this lifts, that grounds. It isn't just in the legs, it's in the hips. So the movement of the hips. So here, if I just go down, all the weight goes into my front foot and I overextend through the back of my knee. But if, before I go down, I move my hips back, this engages, which stabilizes the knee joint, and that foot grounds. And when I get halfway down, I'm totally supported. And then I inhale. And what I do before I put my hand down is I just rotate the spine. So I'm twisting. I'm not if you put your hand down first, it stops the twist. You make the full twist, then just put your hand where it is and start the breathing. Can we do it? Okay, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale. When the lungs are empty, soften the knees, hop the feet apart. And adjust your stance and turn both feet out 30 degrees. Inhale, turn to face over your right leg. And we're going to stay over the right leg. Arms out like wings. Turn the torso. Good. Ground the outside of your back foot and the inseam of your front foot. Take another inhale. And then as you exhale, fold halfway over the right leg by moving the hips back and pushing the weight into the back foot. Just halfway. Inhale, come up, push into the feet. Exhale, move the hips back, just like you would in a forward bend, and fold halfway down. And then inhale, come up, and exhale, fold halfway. You're still facing over the right leg, and stay there. Then inhale there, and then take a long exhale, and twist to your right. Left hand down, right arm up. Don't put the hand on anything, just full twist. When you're at the extent of the twist, put the hand on the leg. And then stretch the right arm up, or bring the hand to the small of the back. Inhale. Exhale long. Inhale. Push down to the outside of the back foot, lift the inseam of the front foot. And then inhale, come up halfway, arms out like wings, and exhale. Inhale, come up, and exhale, turn the feet. Don't turn the feet, turn the torso. And then inhale, turn to face over your left leg, and exhale, fold halfway. Keep the outside of that right foot grounded. Inhale, come up. Remember to push the hips back. Exhale, go down. Push the hips back, engage the legs. One more time. Inhale, come up. And exhale, fold halfway. Inhale there. Exhale, take the twist. Don't put the hand down yet, get the twist. And then put the hand down. Take the same variation do on the other side, take a couple of breaths. Focus on the inside of the front foot, outside of the back foot, lengthening your spine. Then inhale, come up halfway, arm shoulder level. Exhale. Inhale, come up. Turn to face the front, Trikonasana Sthiti, hub pose of the posture. Exhale, arms to the hands to the waist. Inhale, look hard. Exhale, empty your lungs. Chin down, look into your heart. End of the breath, hop or step your feet together. Okay, turn face front. Okay, that's not easy, is it? Parabolic Trikonasana is complicated and it's also a difficult posture. There's a lot going on, but it's a very, very useful posture if you just do it to where you are comfortable and breathe. What often happens in Parabolic Trikonasana is people don't breathe. Their breathing just goes all over the place. So you need to take it to the level where you can maintain that steady breath and not overexert yourself. Does that make sense? And if you do that, you will make progress in the posture. And it's very, very good for the hips and the back, shoulder, so much internal organs, really important posture. But usually people try to go too far too soon. And also in this system with the feet turned out, I think it's kind of in some ways, it's not more accessible, but it does more. There's more happening. Do any of you feel that difference than when you've got the feet turned in the more modern way? It's kind of, in a way, if anything, it's probably a bit more challenging. Though there's two problems that come with this posture, both Trikonasanas, and that is hyperextension in the back of the knee. Does anybody feel that? Sort of like instability in the knee? Okay, so there's two things you can do about that. The first thing is the more you ground your feet, the more it stabilizes the knee joint. So if you're not really pressing the feet down, the knee joint becomes more unstable. And there's also, when you press the feet down, it activates the legs. You know that thing where what we do in a forward bend, where we seated forward bend and we push the ball of the foot as the furthest point forward of the foot. You know what I'm saying? Well, you want to have the feeling that you're also doing that in your standing postures. So in your standing posture, you really got to ground here. Like that is trying to push forward the most. And if you ground there in both feet, that will actually help. The quadriceps will just slightly lift and the kneecaps will stabilize a little bit. So they're the two things, really grounding the feet and concentrating on the big toe bases. If you feel that instability in your knees, really useful. And then if you still feel it, there's nothing wrong with slightly bending the knee. You're better having a micro bend in the knee than hyperextending the knee. Because once you sort of like hyperextend the knee and you do damage to the back of the knee, then it's kind of like, it can last quite a long time because you're actually straining the attachments. Does that make sense? Especially if it's a hamstring attachment, take a long while to heal. So you can do two of those things. And then the other thing is the shoulders. So a lot of people, especially because of the way we live now, a lot of people are very sort of like tense in the shoulder. And if you spend a lot of time on a computer and stuff like that, it will probably be worse. So Sophie, you're really earning your money tonight. You're gonna and so just come into normal triangle for me with the feet at 30 degrees. And exhale, go down. Now I'm doing this because a lot of you are in this position. Yeah, move. Not okay. To the side.
A normal triangle.
No, you do the Vinyasa Krama one. It's not just back. It's to the side and back. Yes, that's it. Go down. You have to rethink everything. I mean, it took me ages after like 20 years of doing it one way and then I have to do it another way, but I find it interesting. And so a lot of you are in this position where your kind of arm is not just sort of like difficult to get up, but it's also back. And this is because you've got a lot of tension in the musculature around the shoulder joint. Now, the best way to get out of that is to sweep the arm in this direction and bring it up from the front. And you'll often find that that will release a lot of the tension in the joint so you can get a more comfortable and natural extension. So you can do that in any pose, any of the standing poses. So you might bring your arm to there, and before you don't ever force it up or force it back. It's just where it goes to. But if you just do that, you'll often find that it just releases the tension in the joint. Okay, it's actually the connective tissue around the joint, not the joint itself. Okay, inhale, come on.
What do you do with your neck?
What do you do? See, you're hyperextending your leg.
Again.
Yeah. So you could bend your knee slightly. When you get down there, bend your knee slightly. So you're going to find all this really difficult because it's not what you're used to doing. Yeah. And so you're turning. So you've got to have more action here, which means you've got to press down more there and stabilize the kneecap. And that's going to have to, you're going to have to focus on that. But if you still are unstable, then just that micro bend in your knee like that is much kinder to your body. Yeah, it's better. I think it's better for you. Okay, does that all make sense? Thank you so much, Sophie. So I want you to, when you do your practice at home this week, really concentrate on that standing sequence and learn, try and get the feeling for how all those things are working in your body. Okay? And then come to me with any questions because it might help other people. Yes? Okay. You bored or was that interesting? Okay. You can say it's boring. I'm boring. I don't know. Boring. It's like, you know, sometimes you have to go into the weeds with postures. That saying. It's like to actually get more out of a posture. Sometimes it isn't about just repeating the posture. You know, it's like, just keep doing it, just keep doing it, just keep doing it. You'll get more into the pose. But it's more about the energy of the posture. If you can find a way of setting up postures so you can feel the energy moving in the body better and allow the energy to move in the body better, because the prana, the energy is really intelligent. If you set up the body in the right way, it's like the yantra of the body in the right way, what will happen is the prana will support you and you'll feel much more energized and lighter in the practice because you're not having to use muscular effort so much. You're using the proper structure of the posture to support mainly the spine. So that's worth exploring, but you can only really do that on your own mat, in your own time, with your own mind, in the quiet of your own practice. Which is why home practice, that your personal practice is the most important thing. Okay, let's go home. Okay. Inhale, standing Tadasana. Exhale, Anjali Mudra. Inhale, arms over the head, flip your palms. Exhale, palms face forward. Inhale, arch from the upper back. And exhale, fold. Hands to the floor or legs, inhale. Exhale, Utkatasana, squat down. All the air out of the lungs, look into the perineum until it lifts. Little shallow inhale into the back of your heart. Just sort of spread your back a bit, hold it. Step back or hop back. Knees can go to the floor. Half chaturanga. Then inhale by moving forward, point the toes and drag the heart forward of the shoulders with the chin down. And exhale, go back to downward facing dog and take 3 breaths. Normal inhale, long exhale, pauses at the end of the breath. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Your feet back a little bit more. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Ground the index fingers, just like you would the big toe bases, to get the energy flowing up through the inseams of your arms, through your shoulders, and out through your hips. Gazing towards navel, eyes closed. Do 1 more breath. And then exhale, bend the knees, hop or step forward, Utkatasana again, empty your lungs. Separate your knees, sit down, Dandasana. Hands beside the hips, chest up, chin down. Look hard, breathe. Push out through the balls of your feet. So forward bend. Hands back a bit, Lynn. So as you push down, it lifts your chest. Yeah, chin down, look hard. Very good. Okay, forward bending with knees bent. Bend both knees slightly. If you're challenged, if the forward bends are challenging for you, you can also sit on a block or cushion. But bend your knees. Even if you can go with straight legs, I want your knees bent today. But you're still pushing out gently through the balls of your feet. Bend your knees, Erica. Okay, inhale, raise your arms over your head. And exhale, fold forward and put your hands to the floor, either side of your legs. Round your back, let your head drop, hands to the floor. Okay, and now walk your sit bones back until you feel you're right on the front edge of your sit bones, and you might have to have your knees bent to do that. You need to keep your knees bent. So you feel that your pelvis is rotating forward. Sit more on get that blanket more under your sit bones, Eric. You're sitting on it too much like a chair. It just wants to be a prop for your sit bones. Yeah. Okay, so your legs aren't straight, your legs are bent. Okay, and then inhale, interlock your fingers and come up. And lift out the hips like you would in a Hasta Vinyasa. And exhale, fold forward. Keep the knees bent, hold the feet or the shins. Completely round your back. Let your head hang. Close your eyes and look into your navel. And if you can, just maybe even walk your sit bones back a tiny bit more so you've got as much forward rotation in the pelvis as you can. Keep the knees bent and start with the long exhales. At the end of the exhales, look deep into the navel, and bend your knees more. Bend your knees more. Yeah, that's it. And now round. Yeah. The end of the exhale, if you're comfortable, pause the breath. In that pause, if the back is round, the head is down, the gaze is in the navel, there'll be connection to Bandha. We're going to stay here for a while, so there can't be any effort, any strain, any judgment. It's just breathing and relaxing. Still a gentle Ujjayi sound to the breath, but it's not loud. Just a totally internal practice, meditating on the sound of the breath, the gaze point of the nabi, which is the center for generating energy in the body. The pauses at the end of the breath, and then beginning there just a second maybe, but in that second you feel the connection to Mula Nudiyana Bandha in your pelvic floor and your lower abdomen. And that connection helps you feel that the energy is gradually moving through the spine. If you have a problem with busy thoughts, mind, then you can count the Om numbers, it helps. But eventually you let go of the counting and you just let the long exhale go until it completely disappears into silence. And the mind drops into that space. And then take another inhale. And when you exhale, just completely relax your hands to the floor. Flip your palms, inhale, come up. Exhale, hands behind you, 10 inches, bend both knees. Feet together if you can. Squeeze the shoulder blades, inhale, lift your chest. Lift your hips. Squeeze your buttocks. Optional, drop your head back. Exhale, come down. Second vinyasa, inhale, come up. Stay. Exhale. Inhale, lift the hips, touch higher. Exhale, slowly down. Come onto your back and relax in Shavasana. Feet wider than your hips, arms away from your sides. You feel the need to have your knees bent at the beginning or during the relaxation, feel free. Roll your head gently side to side. Back to center, tuck your chin down. And focus your awareness, not your gaze, but your awareness in Hridaya, heart. And completely relax. Deepen your breath. You ready? Make your way into a seated posture for pranayama. Kneeling or cross-legged. Who here has done, who knows Jiva Bandha? With the tongue turned up in the mouth. Two of you have done that? Okay. So we're going to do Shitali pranayama, which is the calling breath. Everybody's done this with me? You roll the tongue and breathe through the tongue. Has everybody done that? No? Okay. So in Shitali pranayama, it's a calling breath. Works a bit like your own air conditioning. So you roll the tongue into a tube and protrude it like that. And then you suck the air in really powerfully and you'll feel the calling sensation. So it looks like this. Starts with the chin down, protrude the tongue. Close the mouth, raise the hands. As you bring the head down, you lift the chest up. Exhale just through the left, no sound. The hand goes back to the knee. It stays in Chin Mudra, see? And then you repeat. So if you can't roll the tongue, some people can't, then you press it up against the roof of the mouth, slide it forward so it's behind the top of the front teeth, you get the same effect. That's called Shitali pranayama. So, but it's the same thing, little variation of Shitali, cooling breath. So those of you who are comfortable with it, when you get to this stage and the chin is down and you're exhaling, as you bring the chin down like this after the Shitali, as the chin comes down, you can roll the tongue up. So you turn the tongue up and you slide the tip of the tongue back across the hard palate and towards the soft palate and up towards the sinuses. And just as far as you comfortably can, you don't have to strain it. But you'll find it's a very natural expression of the chest, as the head comes down, you start to bring the tongue into the roof of the mouth and slide it back. And when the chin touches the chest, you can feel the tongue wanting to slide up more into this past the soft palate. Yeah. So that when you do that, so normally when you're doing, you're kind of looking down the heart, but if you do the Jiva Bandha, as the tongue goes up, you look to the third eye and it draws the energy up. It's kind of an advanced practice, really. But I know some of you have done it before with me. So if you are familiar with it, then feel free to use it and in your pranayama. If you haven't done it before, never done it before, then probably leave it today. But the way you know how to train for Jiva Bandha? The way to play, you open your mouth wide and you stretch your tongue out and try and touch your chin. Let's have a go. So you just open your mouth wide and then stretch your tongue out and bring it down so you can touch your chin. Yeah? Good stretch to the tongue. I mean, it's just a muscle. You're stretching all the other muscles. Why leave the tongue out? Yeah? And so what you do is, this is how you do it. There's other ways which are a little bit more invasive, but you stretch your tongue out and down with the mouth wide open. And then you keep the mouth wide open, but turn the tongue up and slide it back. And as you do that, the mouth has to close. But if you've done it by stretching the tongue down first, it works better. But you also have to keep the chest up. So we'll just do it together once. I can't talk and do it, so open the mouth wide and then stretch your tongue out and down, so you can touch your chin. Keep the mouth wide open, but now turn the tongue up and push it towards the top of your mouth. Keep the mouth wide as you can. And then slowly start to close the mouth, and so the tongue touches the upper palate and slides back. Bring your chin down and your chest up as you do that, and it will draw the tongue further back. And then if it goes up far enough, you can use it to open and close your nostrils without using your fingers. I mean, you can. Yeah, that's advanced pranayama. You just do it with your tongue, not with your fingers. Yeah, it takes a bit of practice. I wouldn't know because I can't do it. All right, anyway. So what the hell are we doing anyway? Shitali. Okay, yeah, let's do some Shitali. Left hand Chin Mudra, right hand Vishnu Mudra. First two fingers to the palm. Close your eyes, lift your chest, chin down. Exhale. Protrude the tongue. Shitali inhale. Head back. As you bring the chin down, lift the chest up, close the right nostril with the thumb, exhale through the left, optional Jiva Bandha. It's a long exhale. Looking to the heart without Jiva Bandha, looking to the third eye with Jiva Bandha. Release the hand back to the knee, Shitali. Chin down, chest up. Exhale through the right, no sound. Release the hand to the knee, Shitali. Pause at the top. And then lift the chest as the chin comes down, like two balls rolling towards each other. Exhale left. You want to raise the hand so that as the chin reaches the bottom of its movement, the hand is already there. Not two separate movements, they move together. Continue. Don't let your chest collapse, keep it up. Do one more. When you finish, bring both hands into Chin Mudra on your knees. Okay, any questions?
When I'm starting to breathe out, then do that. So you hold a little, and then you are in this position starting to breathe out. Then it's towards the wall.
When you breathe out, the chin is down.
So then when you are
Yeah.
down, then you start breathing out.
Yeah, so you don't breathe out whether you go. Hold the breath, chin all the way down, then. So what I was trying to say in the thing as well is like, as the chin is coming down, the hand is coming up, you're holding the breath. And then when the nostrils close, you start to exhale. So on the exhale, it has to be alternate nostrils. So you don't start exhaling until the chin is down, the thumb is on or the finger is on the nostril. Does that make sense? Is that your question? No, change sides. Alternate, yeah. Yeah, start on the left, then right. Start. Yeah, sorry. I think, anyway, that's the way it works. Yeah. Alternate nostril, exhales. Okay. It's very effective, isn't it? It's calling for the body, but it's also calling for the mind. It's also used as a preparation for meditation. And so we're going to do the next, now we're going to do Shanmuki Mudra. So this is also on the sheet. It can be used as a preparation for meditation. So Shanmuki is closing off of the senses. It's this. What I'm finding a lot with people, we've been doing it all this week, is like after a little while, people's elbows drop and then they go like this. So Shanmuki Mudra, your spine has to be up, your chest has to be open, and you have to work at keeping your elbows up. So it's like this. The moment the elbows start to drop, everything will go south. Yeah? So you've got to keep up like this. And so the chest stays up. So the spine should be really straight in Shanmuki Mudra. And in Shanmuki Mudra, the chin's parallel with the floor. It's not down like this. Okay? And so you have to have your hands up. So I'll talk you through it and we'll do it. And you just do it. We're going to do it for a little while today. It's some kind of, it can be really tiring for some people, so some people have to just do a few and then gradually add on over time. Okay, inhale, bring the arms up, shoulder level. You don't have to do it this way, but make sure the elbows are high. And then as you exhale, keep the elbows up and bring the hands in. Index finger and middle finger above and below the eyeballs. Ring finger just gently touching the nostrils above the bulb of the nose. Little fingers towards the corners of the mouth. And then gently pull the little fingers out to the sides to close the mouth. And then lastly, push the thumbs into the ears to close the ears. And then you can begin breathing. Just natural breathing, but with your awareness and your gaze in your heart. Listen to the internal sounds with the ears closed, the eyes closed, the nostrils partly closed and the mouth closed, the mind quiet. Listen to your breath. Try to relax as you do it. Do one more breath. And then on the exhale, keep still, the eyes closed, and slowly lower your hands to Chin Mudra. Keep very still. Krishnamacharya often suggests that instead of meditation, some days you should do chanting. We're going to chant Om Namo Narayana, peace mantra. 3 times, call and response, 4th time together. Inhale for Om. Om Namo Narayanaya. 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 Om Namo Narayana 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 Om 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 Shanti Shanti, Shanti. Oh, peace, peace, peace. Om Guru Sakrus Bhagavan ki. So, remind yourself the intention you made for your practice. Namaste. Everyone okay? So yeah, less of a yoga class and more of a workshop today. I hope that's okay. I hope you learned something and you have something to take and experiment within your home practice. What's something I was going to say and I can't remember what it is. Yeah, the Shanmuki Mudra takes a bit of getting used to. I didn't find Shanmuki Mudra, I stopped doing it after a while because I thought, I just really can't get on with the Shanmuki Mudra. But I persevered, I went back to it and I persevered, and it's, if you can get it, it's quite powerful in practice. And it really is a great way of dropping the mind when you just start to listen to the breath with everything closed off. So you can experiment with that. Choose it. Look, it's on the sheet. It becomes before the meditation, pratyahara technique, which we've been experimenting with last term as well. So yeah. So the thing about that, just quickly about the thing about alignment and the way in postures is kind of like it can become quite an obsessive thing. I mean, when I first used to practice yoga in India, it's like there was nobody was remotely interested in alignment. Nobody was interested in any kind of structure to postures. You could do a headstand on your forehead. You could do a headstand on the back of your head. You could do your feet, have your feet in any position. Nobody cared because that wasn't the focus. The focus of the practice was devotion. So nobody was really bothered about how you did your asana. The thing was, you did your asana to keep your body healthy so that you were in a fit state to be able to sit for long periods of meditation, pranayama. That was the reason you did asana. And it's slightly shifted. You know, we're doing asana, still doing it for health and for wellness. But when the next level of asana is to do it to manage your energy body, to manage your prana, so that it then connects more seamlessly, because you can't really do the higher limbs of yoga without asana. You can't just sit and meditate if your body's disturbing you. And also, because we live in such a way that our prana is so agitated most of the time, which really means it comes from your thoughts. Agitated mind is an agitated pranic body. Because we're in that condition a lot of the time, we have to do physical practice to settle that prana, to stabilize that prana, to channel that prana. And so that connects with our pranayama and our meditation. And so the whole thing together is this beautiful system. And so I think that, especially for the modern person, and it was probably always the same, whenever I say that for the modern person, for this modern world, but I don't think yoga would have ever been invented if it wasn't for the fact that people were distracted and distressed and kind of struggling with life, because I think that is the nature of the human condition. So it was probably just the same for people in 2000 years ago in India, in a forest. They were probably there because they couldn't deal with shopping in a supermarket or something. I don't know what, but you know what I'm saying? So that the human mind hasn't changed. Everything around us might have changed, but the human organism and the human mind is the same mind those people had. And so what I'm saying to you is alignment, and the way we explored a few postures today, is important to feel, but not to get over kind of analytical about. It's how it makes you feel the energy in your body that's important. And that is a journey in yoga that you want to go on. Don't go obsessed about alignment, but start to feel what actually feels best for your body, because the way you do it is going to be slightly different to everybody else. Nobody's two postures should ever look the same, whatever they say in yoga books. Yeah? Okay, so that's why we did a day. And next week, it's just going to be the class, nothing else. I'm just going to go through the class. We're going to do the practice. But then another week, I'll probably focus more on the asymmetric forward bending sequence and give you some tips on that. Okay? Namaste.